Whether you operate one forklift or thousands, one location or hundreds, the new My Toyota customer portal can help you optimize your operation and material handling equipment. This one-stop, free-to-use platform is designed to help you take control of your information and make smarter decisions, all at the touch of a button. Register and access your data today at my.toyotaforklift.com. That's my.toyotaforklift.com. Today's safety tip is sponsored by Sierra.ai. Their collision avoidance technology can take your safety program to the next level, so don't fork it up and head to Sierra.ai for more information. That's Sierra.ai to go to the next level in safety.
Hi, this is Rob Bussey. You're listening to the New Warehouse Podcast, and I got a safety tip for you here. As a forklift operator, you always want to be aware of your surroundings. If you're backing out of a trailer into a flow of traffic area, a quick toot of your horn can really help make others aware that you're around.
With e-commerce off the charts, many small and growing warehouses are asking, how can I get ahead when my warehouse is barely keeping up? The answer is future-ready warehouse tech from Zebra Technologies. Warehouses can simplify and upgrade all processes, from automated inventory management to hands-free picking, with Zebra's tailored, scalable mobile solutions. They're simple and intuitive. There's never been a better time to upgrade for success with Zebra. How can your warehouse get ahead? The answer's in black and white. Get the answers at zebra.com/theanswer. That's zebra.com/theanswer. Fulfillment demand continues to skyrocket and outpace available labor. To keep up, warehouse operators are turning to flexible fulfillment solutions like 6 River Systems. Utilizing 6 River Systems' award-winning combination of collaborative robots, artificial intelligence, and operational expertise will make your associates and wall-to-wall fulfillment workflow more efficient. No new infrastructure, no change to warehouse layout, easy to deploy and scale, easy to train and retain associates, all at half the cost of traditional automation. Want to take your fulfillment operation to the next level? Go to www.6river.com to learn more. That's www.6river.com to learn more.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse Podcast, bringing you a new episode today. On today's episode, I am going to be joined by Rob Bussey. He is the National Account Manager for BWS Logistics, and BWS Logistics focuses their specialty on warehousing logistics for the beer, wine, and spirits industry. So he's going to talk to us about exactly what it is BWS Logistics does. He's also going to talk to us about some unique aspects of the warehousing and logistics space in his industry, and a little bit in terms of the technology impact on this industry as well. So it's going to be really interesting to find out more about the beer, wine, and spirits industry, specifically when it comes to warehousing and logistics. So, Rob, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. Kevin, thank you so much for inviting me on, and I appreciate the opportunity to tell you and some of your listeners a little bit more about BWS Logistics.
Definitely happy to have you on, and happy to learn a little bit more about some of the uniqueness of the industry space that you're focused on. But why don't you tell us a little bit about BWS Logistics and what it is you guys do before we get into it?
Well, as a fast-growing 3PL, BWS Logistics handles a wide variety of commodities, but we got our start, and one of our primary areas of focus is the integrated transportation, cross-docking, consolidation, and warehousing within the beverage industry. We work from the producer level through the retailer. This includes all things tied to the alcoholic beverage business, such as packing materials. We ship empty bottles, we ship empty cans. Believe it or not, the empty can production in the U.S. can't keep up with it. We actually import and recover empty cans and
really?
get them out to the bottling folks in the breweries. We handle a lot of protective blankets for wine that are used to keep an ambient temperature while things are in transit. Our focus is really on the details, and we follow every shipment from order entry to final delivery. We offer our clients a daily update for the status of all active orders. Our growth has really been built on trust, and it's very satisfying to see the trust our customers have in BWS and how we've been growing. We just actually finished up, as you know, Q1, where you just kind of shake loose all your numbers, and it was an exceptionally good start for us in 2021. And as we bring on new business, we do understand the support team needs to incrementally grow, and we've actually already added 2 new team members this year. So we're on a great path right now.
Definitely sounds like it, and it's an interesting space because I think there's a lot of uniqueness in it. And I will point out to the listeners, you said that you follow it from pickup to drop off, and it's about around 8:00 at night around where Rob is. And he, right before we recorded, he picked up a call and he was making sure that a load was going to deliver on time in the morning. So I can guarantee you that they got good service.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself, is this what I want to do too, as far as a career? But I'm way too far deep into it. But I was in my chair this morning about 6:30, and here it is 8 something, and I was just finishing confirming 2 loads that got loaded up over near O'Hare. But one of my catchphrases that I like to use is the grind never sleeps. So
that's true. Keep
on grinding.
Yeah, and the one thing is warehouse logistics never sleep either. So I guess you're in the right spot.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
indeed.
So you mentioned some of the kind of interesting things in there. You guys handle not only, I guess when I think of beer, wine, and spirits, I'm thinking that you guys are just handling the actual liquids, but even empty containers as well. So talk to us a little bit about, how you get involved in these different aspects of the supply chain, because it sounds like you're dropping packaging off to the manufacturer and then you're picking them up when they're full, when it's done.
A little bit of that, and sometimes we're handling for clients that we may not be handling the end shipping for the bottler, but we would be, we're under a time crunch to get the bottles to a place if they're going to run their line that day. So there's some critical timepieces there to get this stuff to our clients in a timely manner. So we deal a lot with pretty strong time constraints as far as making sure that our customers get what they need so that they can run their line. It's a little bit equivalent to like a production line at, let's say, an auto assembly. You have to have all the different pieces in place to build a car, and the same thing goes for producing, let's say, a malt liquor or alcoholic seltzer, different things like that are out there now. You have to have everything in place before you can turn that machine on and start running your product, and that includes having those cans and bottles available there. So that's just part of what we do. We do handle a lot of the actual product where it's already bottled, case good liquors, spirits, wine, beer. So pretty much all of that stuff.
Interesting. Yeah. So all aspects of it. So I'm curious, you mentioned too in there that you use some kind of special blankets for ambient temperatures. So talk to me a little bit about some of the unique aspects of the beer, wine, and spirits industry, specifically in the warehousing and transportation space. I think that, we could probably get some good takeaways from that.
Well, if you were, as I mentioned, the blanket deal, there are sometimes things need to be refrigerated. Sometimes they need to be just blanket wrapped to kind of protect them from extreme heat and extreme cold. But if I was to look at what is some of our challenges right now in the beer, wine, and spirits industry, some unique aspects of it, we have to really consider the regulatory environment. It's one of our biggest challenges because each state has its own rules and regulations for warehousing and transportation of alcohol. So it's imperative that your provider, which is BWS Logistics, has the required knowledge to execute this type of business, because you don't want to, and that's part of why we believe we're growing. We keep up to date on all the different rules, regulations, permits that you need. Different states need different permits. Some people are kind of afraid to handle liquor because they're like, oh, geez, you need a permit for that. But there are some states you don't really need a permit. For example, in Illinois, to ship up to, let's say, Michigan, you don't really need anything. But we also have to be aware of the temperature requirements for many of our different types of alcoholic beverages. Some of them require refrigeration, as I mentioned. Some are nothing. And these details are crucial and critical to meet our customers' expectations. As a 3PL, we've done a particularly good job of assembling a solid base of regional and national partner carriers as well. This is a hugely important task so that we can so we understand our business. As we grow, they grow. So you want to partner with carriers who are going to be there for you on a day in and day out basis. We are 3PL, we're third-party logistics, so we are technically like a broker, but we try to find and we try to maintain a base of carriers who we know on a first name basis. We don't have to try to post things on DAT to try to cover loads where there's unknown people handling our stuff. We have we've got a database of these carriers that we can call them first. Sometimes they even call us. They'll check in with us in the morning and say, "Hey, what do you got going today? Here's where my trucks are." So it's a really cool thing that we've got that we've been building up here. So.
And now a quick break to hear from our sponsor, Supply Chain Mavens. The past year has been full of fascinating and complex supply chain news, from shortages and forecasting challenges to issues with COVID-19 test components to the never-before-seen speed to market of the vaccine. In the past year, logistics and supply chain professionals like you have been nothing short of miracle workers. Supply Chain Mavens helps your team to continuously improve by developing tailored training solutions to enhance your team's competencies so they can successfully work across all aspects of supply chain. They offer exam preparation for the coveted APICS, certified in logistics, transportation, and distribution designation, as well as education in topics across the supply chain. Visit them at supplychainmavens.net/new warehouse to learn how they can help you advance your team's performance. That's supplychainmavens.net/new warehouse. Now back to the show. Definitely, yeah. I mean, I think the partnership aspect there is definitely key as well, especially when you're handling somewhat of a delicate product too. You're talking about the temperature sensitivity, and then obviously, beer, wine, spirits come in glass bottles sometimes. So there's some difficulty there in transportation, trying to reduce damages and things of that nature. And, as things grow within the beer, wine, and spirits industry, we're so focused on, like small breweries and independent distillers have become such a big thing in the industry over probably like the past 10 years, maybe 15 years or so. Obviously there's some uniquenesses I can imagine dealing with these smaller companies that, essentially are trying to, I guess, build their way up and maybe don't have as much, probably don't even have like a supply chain or logistics person on staff. So, I'm curious, how has the industry changed with a lot of these smaller and independent companies kind of coming up in the market?
We'll be back after a quick break.
You hear a lot about supply chains these days because if the past couple years have taught us anything, it's that an efficient, well-managed supply chain is absolutely critical to keeping businesses successful and consumers happy. I'm Will Haywood and I host a podcast called All Business, No Boundaries, where we talk about supply chains, how they work, what happens when they don't, and the innovations that are redefining what's possible in the world of logistics. Join me for insightful interviews with thought leaders and industry experts. We discuss how optimizing supply chains can break down the barriers that are holding businesses back. That's All Business, No Boundaries by DHL Supply Chain. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, we welcome those type of folks, and we work with a lot of those people who are, as you mentioned, may not have an actual transportation team, and we actually want to be an extension of their business, kind of without being a burden on their payroll, and we like to partner with those type of people to help them grow their business, and it's kind of cool to see some of these products that these people have come up with. One of our customers makes a spiked cherry. So it's an alcohol infused cherry. And that's just one of many, many different products that are out there. It's actually a very exciting time in the alcoholic beverage space when you start seeing all these interesting new producers come out with exciting products. But at the end of the day, the alcohol wholesale in each state is wholesalers in each state. They still control most of the freight, and we work with them the most. Some producers control shipments to their customers, as you mentioned, some of those smaller folks. But we mostly work with the wholesalers in the states they sell to. So that's kind of where you have to kind of grow your business with those people that they're sort of the wholesalers that are buying it and then doing the distribution.
Gotcha. And is that because I mean I'm not so familiar with this? So is that because the wholesaler controls like the regulations within the state and they have like the certain permits that are needed, or why is that?
No, it's not necessarily any kind of control from a licensing or a regulatory piece. It's just more of a distribution. It'd be kind of like if you were in the movie business and you wanted to, or the record business, and you wanted to get your album, out there. To try to do it independently on your own is one thing. If you can get, Capitol Records to back you up, now they're distributing for you. So it's kind of the same thing in the alcohol industry, where you get someone to, you get them interested in your product, and then you get them to help distribute it, and you get more visibility and more reach with that.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of like almost like a gatekeeper in a sense, a little bit, right?
No, it's kind of like a wingman who someone can say, "Hey, we've got this new line, check this out," and the orders start coming in, and there's just there's always in the alcohol industry that's new and interesting, and it's kind of, there's trends out there just like anything, and they run their course, like Zima did 15-20 years ago.
I remember Zima. Yeah. I wasn't old enough to drink it, but
I was going to say it might be before your time. But
yeah,
I just came to mind just now as I was thinking of new things that come out and the old things that kind of go away. But it's ebbs and flows, and it's there's always new things, so it kind of keeps things interesting.
Gotcha. So with those, like, I guess, trends and things of that nature, do you guys see like the spike on your end? Like all of a sudden you got to get like a couple loads of this in because it's like a hot seller.
I thought there was a joke in there, spike, like it's spiked,
Oh, no. I totally missed that. I usually love those too,
Yes, but anyway, there are certain products that they just can't keep in stock, and as soon as it can get produced, they want to get another. If they can get 6 skids produced, they want us to move those 6 skids. If over the 2-day period they can produce 12 skids, it could be, like when rum chata or something would come out when it first came out, something like that. There are trendy things and seasonal things that come out, but yeah, we're able to pretty much keep up with things as they're needed. So it works out pretty well for us.
Very interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting space, and I'm curious as I'm thinking too, like about the different aspects that you might have to deal with. So, I heard recently, actually last week, had a virtual happy hour for ProMat DX with a company, and the bartender that was like teaching us how to make a drink in the happy hour,
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, he was like talking about how I guess there was some like big warehouse thefts of like Pappy Van Winkle. So there was like a shortage on that. It was like driving prices up. So do you see like you have to have like more security around some liquors that are like higher priced or more coveted?
Well, we do handle some stuff that some of the scotches that are premium, and we're in the middle of a project that's coming up pretty soon. That's where the stuff is like one skid of it could be like $100,000.
God,
so yeah, so there are some things that are quite expensive that we have to really keep watch on. But we have like I said, that kind of goes back to my point on carriers and why the partnerships are so important.
Interesting. Yeah. I was curious about that because I imagine like there's some things I guess you don't think about because some of this stuff that really does get expensive. I mean, $100,000 a pallet is pretty insane, but it must go down smooth, I'm sure.
It's smooth. Yeah, you don't even need an ice cube in that. I'm just kidding. I haven't tried it, but
I was just going to ask you to get samples. Yeah.
Something else to mention is you don't. Maybe not, people don't really realize this, but stuff comes in from overseas, stuff goes out from here overseas as well. So we do a lot of that. We do a lot of port recoveries, which are ocean recoveries from all over. We do a lot of rail recoveries. We do move stuff sometimes on the rail. We have a very good expertise in knowing, how many layers you can stack, let's say cases of wine or cases of of spirits, because once you get over a certain height, you have to take into consideration the pounds per square inch compression on those bottles. So you can, it's another little piece of the expertise that we have to know only to go a certain height. Otherwise, you could start, those bottom cases could start having compression damage, or if it's wine, it could, the shock of it, stuff going up and down on it, could pop some of those corks, and we don't want that.
Interesting. Yeah. I guess it's all things you learn along the way. So I'm curious too, a lot of, I guess, the beer, wine, and spirits industry, there's like a lot of, I guess, tradition in the way that things are made and produced over time. But in the warehouse and logistics space, we're seeing a lot of technology advancements in general in all industries. So I'm curious, what technologies in our space do you see that are making an impact, or you think will be making an impact in specifically the beer, wine, and spirits industry?
Well, I can tell you just from being in logistics and just overall, whether it be any piece of transportation, and I've said this recently to somebody else, that if you look at transportation companies anymore, they're basically IT companies who just happen to move freight. Right. They're very, very heavy in the IT, but to look at within our space, what I think is going to be a big impact. I think this might seem like a simple thing, but tracking and tracing is becoming more and more important, especially in the premium segments of our industry, where the product values are in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So there are some great platforms out there which can allow us to provide our clients with a link, just like you overheard me talking to that phone call I was on about wanting to track those things via ELD. Yeah. There's programs out there that we have, like MacroPoint, there's P44, there's 4Kites. These are all track and trace type things, so you'll know where these trucks are without having to make those phone calls, and without having to wake somebody up and say, "Hey, Jim, did you check on that truck?" Yeah. And you just take a look at your app and you'll know where it's at. So when they put in electronic data logs were mandated in the trucks, this really helped bring this type of a system to the forefront. And then having drivers really in the last 5 to 10 years transition to more smartphones, that's helped a lot too. But believe it or not, there's still a lot of drivers out there that still have flip phones and stuff. So that's a piece of it. I mean, from a warehousing standpoint, I know there's some great technology out there with everything scanned in, scanned out, and that's the space you live in. So I know you probably know a lot more about that than I do. But it's technology, and if you don't embrace this technology, really, you're going to get left behind, because the old days of even doing quotes for people with quoting transportation with a pad of paper and a pencil and making phone calls, you really have to embrace this technology that's out there, and these various platforms that are available for everything from lead generation to warehousing to, again, tracking your trucks. But for us, that's a big one for us, because really we don't have a lot of time to be making a lot of calls for these to find out how our freight's doing. And a lot of the systems now will actually talk to each other. We'll update our system directly. We use a platform for our TMS called BlueJay. Okay. And if someone else is on a similar, or we can get their system to work with that, it kind of alleviates a lot of conversation, where you can just, somebody else can update it who could be out in, let's say, Arizona. They'll put an update in, and you'll see it without having to make any kind of a phone call. So the technology is huge, and it's probably one of the most important things that's happening right now overall in transportation.
Definitely, yeah, and I think all over the place. I mean, I'm curious though on the track and trace. You've been in the industry for a while, so I'm curious. How have you seen? Because on the consumer side, right, with the tracking that Amazon provides, like all the way to giving you a photo of the package on your porch, right? How have you seen maybe the demand for that type of detailed tracking on like the B2B side, which you're kind of in that space, kind of mirror what consumers are seeing?
It's a matter of expectations and also a matter of patience. I mean, think about your restaurant experience years ago, where you'd be patient and you'd sit down, you'd get your water, and you'd order something. Then they'd come back and you'd maybe get an appetizer, and they'd come back and you'd order your main course. And now you look at, let's say, somebody's experience of being impatient in a drive-through. And if they don't get their hamburger in 3.2 minutes, they're starting to honk the horn. So it's kind of crazy, just as an analogy though, but it's just a matter of expectations, and the people out there like Jeff Bezos they've helped set those expectations. People want accessibility. I mean, I still hold a lot of value in the personal conversations with people that you can pick up the phone and talk to them if you need to. But what people are wanting now is actually to talk less. It's the generation now. The generations are more talking with their thumbs than anything. So, there's less real conversations, but it's just a matter of expectations, and it's only going to keep, the demand's only going to keep going up. And when you're tracking your Amazon, it says 10 stops away. You keep refreshing it, and it's pretty amazing. So
yeah, gets a little exciting, right? You're like, oh my God, it's almost here.
and if I don't know if your house is anything like my house, and especially whether it's around the holiday, I mean, there's something coming almost every day. My son used to try to grab everything and wanted to know if it was for him. Now he doesn't even ask. He doesn't even ask anymore. He just brings it to me, and then. But
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how things have evolved, and you're seeing more and more like things that consumer expectation is translating over to the B2B side. So it's interesting, your comments there about the expectations. So yeah, I mean, really interesting stuff. Talking to you here about the beer, wine, and spirits industry specifically as regards to warehouse and logistics, and good to learn more about BWS as well. So if people are listening and they want to find out more information about BWS Logistics, how can they do that?
Well, they can go to our website, which is www.bws-logistics.com. If you don't know what a hyphen is, it's a minus sign.
That's very good. That's the best plug ever. So we'll definitely put that link on the newwarehouse.com as well. No hyphens or minus signs in there, just the newwarehouse.com. Thanks for coming on the show.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want more content from the New Warehouse, check out our new video series called All Hands on LinkedIn. Just search for the New Warehouse on LinkedIn and follow along.